Kristin, good morning.
Good morning.
So as we start the Beat Retreat and spend a lot of time talking about the world of advanced television, there's a lot going on in your world. You've been with, just launched 605 now, a little over a year ago, maybe not quite?
Oh, 6 months.
6 months, okay. So time's flying, but not that fast. And there's a lot you guys are clearly inventing and investing in. You've had a long career, certainly in the world of cable and television, and being one of the leaders in addressable for a long time. And there's clearly a market opportunity you guys at for 605 related to the importance of data, which is a very common theme, no doubt. And so I thought we'd start there, which is maybe helping the market continue to understand what's the unique perspective of 605. What was the missing element in the market that you thought was necessary to start a new company to help, I guess, move this advanced television market forward?
So, at the risk of pitching, which I won't do with you, Matt, because I know that's a dangerous game, for those of you who've been to other Beat Retreats. So it's really a lot of what Jamie was just talking about. We came from a background of a somewhat vertically integrated company with local ad sales and telecommunications, and had started to utilize set-top box data and census level data to sell local advertising in the New York footprint in a prior life. And so when we sold that company, we had the idea to continue that effort and created a company called 605. But it's really about the ongoing discussion that measurement in television is still not where it needs to be. So the reliance on broad buckets like age and gender to buy television and place television advertising, and then the lack of specificity and granularity to do the types of analyses that Jamie was talking about, and that people are very comfortable utilizing the digital space. That's still not happening on television. And so we saw the opportunity, not just because we're looking for something new and interesting to do, but because we're at this sort of pivotal moment in advertising where the opportunities by utilizing addressable and other capabilities to really start to buy and use television in the same way that digital has been used for years is really, we're sort of at that point in the life cycle of the industry. And so we created the company as a way, in a very independent manner, to facilitate the analytics to help people understand their customers better, target them better, and then ideally buy from anyone in this room who sells advertising, whether it's on digital or television, in a way that really best provides the best experience for the customer and provides the advertiser with the targeting opportunities across the entire ecosystem as opposed to just on digital.
One of the things you just mentioned in there, which I think is critical, is you mentioned not just data, but the idea of analytics, and I think the segmentation strategies. And so we spend a lot of time in this industry talking about the raw data sources, which I think is important, and no doubt want to explore a little bit the types of data sources that you guys are really working with and thinking are important. But it sounds like that the really more key part of what you guys are up to is that additional layer on top of it, which is lots of people can aggregate data, but are you finding that a lot of sides of the market? I know you guys focus a lot on the media companies and cable operators, but I think also work with marketers as well. Was the missing element the ability to apply the data? Is that a lot of what you guys are seeing as the need, which is great, you've been able to bring data together, but how are you actually going to activate that? Is that a lot of what you're solving for?
We're independent, so we never sell media. So our goal is really to help the partner, whether it's an advertiser or a programmer, really determine the appropriate segment and then go after it. And then ideally for our business model, test and learn, right? So we understood this was the target. We attempted to do some work. We did some advertising. Then we would get first-party data back, look at the results, determine whether A, the target was correct, B, the creative, if somebody's looking to test that the creative was appropriate, and probably most importantly, determine that the results were at least acceptable, and if not, why, right? So if there's an acceptable sales result from an initiative, you can apply an ROI to that for the advertiser, and they can then ultimately get to the nirvana that Jamie was talking about, which is a fully optimized schedule, utilizing each different component of the media mix to drive the results that you need.
One of the things we've talked about, and you actually mentioned it in your answer, is the idea of test and learn, and the importance of that type of mindset. And we talk a lot with the clients that we work with on the importance of, if you're going to succeed in really evolving and advancing the way that you activate your media dollars, you're going to need to start with new measures of metrics and measurement. That if you're going to measure in the old way, you're probably going to activate in the old way too. And I know you're particularly passionate about making sure that that education is happening and really trying to instill this kind of idea of test and learn, which for a lot of other parts of the media and marketing industry is not uncommon, but certainly hasn't been applied to the idea of television buying in a real way, and video more broadly now. How advanced are you seeing the market when you're out there in the field? Where are we in that journey? And are you seeing, I can't imagine you're seeing many skeptics, but are you seeing a lot of people, how advanced are we, I guess, is the core question?
I think it really depends on the partner. Some people are very sophisticated. I think people have been really building CRMs for many years. I mean, the phrase and the acronym has been around forever, but people that really are, wanting to utilize first-party data and really appreciate the insights that come from it, right? So you have old school industry where a lot of things are done by gut or by feel, and they may not be as interested, but then you have more sophisticated brands and marketers that say, I've aggregated all this information. I know I can utilize it to be smarter about, my targeting or my sales or what product set I, should be pursuing as a company. And so, we're finding varying levels depending on who the advertiser or the partner is. But programmers, I think in particular, given the change in the way people view and utilize video, are a really good partner because their goal is really to preserve as much as they can traditional viewership, or think about new models where if people are consuming their content in other ways, they're going to want to know, is that additive? Is that cannibalizing my traditional television model? Should I be considering, in a crazy universe, eliminating the linear channel offering and just selling content to every different potential outlet I can, and becoming more like a film studio versus a traditional network? So it's a long-winded way of saying, there's varying degrees along this scale, but I think, as you pointed out, most people are very intrigued and understand and know they need to move in this direction. But in some cases, that's where our job gets interesting, because we help them understand the value and learn about it, and then again rely on everybody else to prove it out by providing them the right schedules and the information to move forward.
Yeah, there's some meaty questions in there that could be great to dig into, which is the future of these MVPDs. But we'll save that for as the retreat continues.
But this is fun too.
This is good, right? well, let's transition and talk about the impact on the upfront, because listen, that's still where a hefty chunk of the quote unquote TV spending happens. And by the way, I continue to be surprised by the fact that I've asked a lot of people how to define television, and it is not so easy to define anymore.
I just call it video at this point.
Right.
You're watching video.
But there is a business of TV that still is relevant here, a $66+ billion or so business in the U.S. alone. That is changing, right? NBC had a big announcement a few weeks ago that they're going to reserve as much as $1 billion of inventory for audience-related, non-GRP targeted sales. I assume that's a pretty big deal, certainly a big announcement, and I think something that is on trend. But as someone that knows this marketplace well, do you think the market is ready to transact that type of scale? Is that something we should expect from this year's upfront?
Well, we were thrilled to hear Linda's announcement and then the subsequent announcement by A&E. We just think they're brave and they're passionate, and she's willing to put her money where her mouth is on this, and she's been an advocate for a long time. The announcement yesterday with Turner, Viacom, and Fox, continues to indicate that people are passionate and enthusiastic about it, and we've definitely had conversations with a number of partners about what opportunities we can bring to their upfront presentations to help them think through continuing to get advertisers excited about this and to consider different approaches. I mean, you're always going to have the advertiser who wants to see their ad in the MTV Video Awards or the Oscars or whatever, and there's always going to be a place for that. But it's a lot of dollars being spent, and I think if there's opportunities for people to spend those dollars in a way that's easier to really justify and optimize and everything else, that's going to matter. And so when the upfronts this year, I think you're going to continue to hear a significant amount of conversation around this topic.